Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Missouri Realtors 2024 President Derek Schriever.
Hello and welcome all. I can tell you all are equally as excited to be here based on the uproar I just received, and thank you. I want to give a special shout out to, I want to thank you all for being here with us today and for this week at the business conference. And I want to thank and acknowledge the people who are joining us through live stream as well. We're missing you and look forward to hopefully seeing you tomorrow. Throughout the week, please visit the conference schedule page at MissouriRealtor.org/spring or use the Missouri Realtors app for the latest event information. I did want to take a minute and acknowledge, if you could please stand, the State Missouri Leadership Academy for 2024. If you could please stand. And I had a great chance to meet some local Leadership Academy attendees as well. So if you are here with your local Leadership Academy, please stand up and let's give them a warm round of applause. One thing I truly love about this association is the family we create and the leaders we develop together. We're all here learning and improving ourselves to become the best person we can be for our association, for our clients, and for our families. And I know that through this involvement, I've grown personally throughout the years, and I hope you feel the same way about the amazing association that is Missouri Realtors. To kick off the opening session, I would like to welcome Andrea Sheridan to the stage to perform the national anthem. And while she's on her way up here, please stand and turn your attention to the Olathe, Kansas Police Department Honor Guard for the presentation of colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
A very special thank you to the Olathe, Kansas Police Department Honor Guard. Thank you for joining us and processing the colors. I now want to introduce your 2024 leadership team, all of whom I'm pleased to have the opportunity to work with and lead this association this year. Bobby Howe, President-elect. Brian Jared, Treasurer. Brent Sager, Treasurer-elect. Andrea Sheridan, immediate past President. And our wonderful CEO, Brianna Vanstrom. Thank you all for your time and outstanding service to our members in our industry. To kick off the opening session here, I'd like to give two brief updates regarding the Missourians for Fair Governance and the proposed NAR settlement. First, the Missourians for Fair Governance has been working throughout the legislative session to monitor proposals related to the initiative petition process and to make sure our position, which is no changes should be made to the process, have received plenty of coverage by media outlets across the state, and our lobbying and consulting teams continue to work diligently with the legislators as we round out the legislative session. MFG, Missourians for Fair Governance committee members, will be here this week to answer questions. We have a booth out in the registration area, and we were providing updates to the Advocacy Action Output Group and Advocacy Committee meetings here during this week. Please stop by the Realtor table on the second floor if you have any questions or would like to participate in that program. As we are monitoring the tail end of the session, there's been a bill that moved out of Senate and into the House. It's come back from the House and should be heading to the Senate. We expect sometime this week. And as we monitor that and understand the exact language, we expect to have more to deliver to you on that specific topic. But we're waiting to see how the legislature and what they decide to do with that specific topic. But we're keeping a good eye on it, and we'll keep you apprised, whether it be the local leaders or AEs, when we do need the grassroots effort kicked off, you'll be the first to know. As you well know, last year, a Kansas City jury found NAR liable in an antitrust case targeting the practice of cooperative compensation. Following that, a number of copycat lawsuits and cases were filed around the country. Recently, NAR reached a proposed settlement to resolve claims related to this rule against NAR. Over 1 million NAR members, all state and local realtor associations, all association-owned MLSs, and all brokerages with an NAR member as principal that had a residential transaction volume in 2022 of 2 million or below. The settlement is subject to court approval. I believe there was some news since my document here was prepared. I believe there was some news released today that has forwarded that settlement approval. During tomorrow's Emerging Issues Forum, held in this room at 2 o'clock, Attorney Mitch Skinner and our own General Counsel, Robert Campbell, will provide an overview of what changes this settlement could bring. More about this is available at competition.realtor and facts.realtor, both of which provide information pertinent to you and your clients. While Robert will talk about this tomorrow, and I want to take this opportunity to assure you that Missouri Realtors Risk Management Team and our forums committees have been preparing for potential changes since the litigation began, refining them and refining them as the case progressed. This work has been done in collaboration with our Antitrust Council, so we are ready to respond with necessary revisions to the forms as further developments take place. With so much going on within the industry and across our association, whether in member engagement, advocacy, or risk management, we encourage you to check out the various governance meetings during this conference as we all try to figure out what's going on in our industry and prepare for the future as best as we can. We hope you'll move around the different output groups, which are open to all members and open for discussion, to share ideas and provide feedback and ask questions so we can keep this association moving into a positive future together. You are also welcome to attend any open committee meetings, but please note, only those appointed to the committee are really permitted to join those conversations unless you are acknowledged by the chair of the committee. One thing I've always loved about coming to these association meetings, especially the state meetings, is just having the conversations with your peers from different markets, from different parts of the state, and to figure out what you're going to do to improve yourself and your business over the next year. We encourage you to continue having those conversations, keeping in mind that all antitrust laws that were existing before the settlement are still in place, and we need to monitor ourselves and make sure we're handling ourselves appropriately. Well, many of you are here to help us conduct our business. These conferences are another way for Missouri Realtors to provide you with invaluable ideas and access to dynamic speakers to help you grow your business. With that in mind, it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today, Nick Crowder. Since 2006, Nick has been a realtor in the Portland, Oregon metro area, and in 2015, he published The Golden Handoff, a book outlining the steps to buy and sell a real estate agent's business. We are excited to have him here today to share his strategies to grow your business by adopting clients from agents when they retire, and for those of you considering that in the future, how to pick the right agent to pass your business on and ensure you have income for years to come. Please join me in welcoming Nick Crowder.
Thank you very much. All right, Missouri Realtors, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today. So I am from Portland, Oregon. I've been a realtor since 2006, so I know what it's like to live the realtor life. As I mentioned, I published the book, The Golden Handoff, in 2015. I never thought I would publish a book about real estate. I had dreams of being a writer one day and traveling the world. But I'm going to tell you the story of how I grew my business by adopting agents who are retiring. My screens here are off, but I can look here just for now. So, Golden Handoff came out in 2015. I'm really excited. This is my first presentation since I finished the second edition. And that book is going to cover what I'm calling partial handoffs. And I'm going to give you guys kind of the inside scoop on that. So you're hearing that before a lot of people. So I applaud you for being here to learn about that. That QR code will take you to the website, goldenhandoff.com. And there's a bunch of good information there. Now, I know when you come to these things, a lot of people are worried about not looking at their phones for 40 minutes, 50 minutes at a time. So I'm going to make you a deal. You can keep your phone, and in trade, I'm going to have you write down the names of 6 people today. The good news is you probably already know who these people are. In the next week, I'm going to ask you to call 3 of them. That's it. So you can keep your phone and take notes and learn today. My trade-off for that is that my hope is in the next 40 minutes, I'm not only going to educate you about how I've used the Golden Handoff to grow a business, but to really change your life. Because before this book came out, realtors did not have a model for how to retire. And that's crazy, because your relationships are worth a fortune. Your relationships are worth a fortune, but what do most realtors do when they retire? Nothing. There's no golden watch, there's no retirement program. And keep in mind, you've worked your whole life to build relationships with people that trust you to help them make the most important decision that most people make in their lives. It has the biggest financial impact for most Americans. If most Americans didn't own a home, people wouldn't be able to retire. And so what we do is incredibly important. And so I'm going to teach you how to hand off those relationships, that trust you've built, whether that's with 50 people, 500 people, or 5,000 people. This is Toby Salgado. He was a top broker in San Diego, and I sent him an early edition of the book, and he was one of the first podcasts I did. And he said, this is going to change everything. When you think about it, if you go to your dentist and you have a new dentist, is the office gone? No. You show up at the same building, it's the same staff, you check in with the same person, you get your teeth cleaned probably by the same person, and all of a sudden there's a new dentist. But realtors haven't had that, and it kind of blew my mind. And that's why I ended up writing this book. because we have two problems in real estate. Does anyone remember their first month in the business? Brianna and I were talking about this earlier. This is a long time ago for us. But I remember it really clearly. This is my first job where you're not getting a paycheck. You don't close a deal, you don't get paid. So your first job is get your first client and get that first deal closed. And then if you're lucky, you get more clients and you get referrals. And now you have a new challenge, right? Growing a business, building a team. I eventually had a team of 12 people, eventually had my own brokerage. That creates all kinds of other new exciting headaches. But there's another thing that we just don't talk about, and that's why I'm here today, and I'm so excited to share this, is what do I do when I retire? How many people have talked to a fellow realtor or mentor and say, God, I really love to retire, I just don't know what to do. People keep calling me, I keep doing things, I just don't know what to do. And so what I'm sharing with you today is the exact plan I've used to adopt multiple businesses. I went from 200 clients to over 2,000 in a couple years by buying 6 different broker businesses. You don't have to get that big, if that sounds scary. You don't have to have a team. This model works whether you're small or large. It just takes a little bit different amount of time and energy depending on that. Now, would you guys agree that we'd all like to work 100% by referral? So then the next question is, well, why don't we do that? Well, the reason we don't work 100% by referral is because we're trying to grow a business, and referrals take time because they take trust. Right? You don't get referrals from clients that haven't experienced working with you or knowing you as a person and trusting you. Because to refer someone takes a huge amount of trust, because if I refer Brianna to someone, I'm on the line. If she does a bad job, it makes me look bad. And there's some people that don't refer anyone ever because they just don't want to take that risk. So don't think you're going to get 100% of your clients to refer you. I think the rule of thumb is about 30% of people love to refer and tell people about things, but 2/3 of people kind of like to just stay on the sidelines, let other people make their own decisions. So the reason we don't work 100% by referral is because we want to grow a business and we can't count on referrals to scale up fast enough, right? If you figure out a great way to market, you can add more money to that marketing plan and grow your business. But that's because we've been thinking about referrals as a one-to-one deal. So Brianna refers me someone from Columbia, Missouri, who's moving to Portland, Oregon. I help them buy a house. So I get a new client, we close one deal, I get a commission, she gets a referral fee. It's a huge win-win. Now, what happens if someone is moving to a new market? And you're saying, here we are in Kansas City, awesome city, by the way. I've been trying to eat barbecue every night. I don't know how many nights in a row I can do it. I'm on night 2. But let's say you've got a wonderful business here, but you're moving to Orlando, Florida. Well, you can't keep running your business here probably. You can't show houses, can't do that. So what would happen if Brianna's moving to Orlando, Florida, and she says, hey, I've got 300 really good clients I've worked with over the years, people that refer me, that work with me. What if I referred all 300 of those people to you? Now that's a big deal, right? That's exponential growth. One-to-one referral is kind of how we've been doing it. You get one opportunity, you get one referral. But what happens when that scales up? Now to show you what it's really about, what's the value of a business? Well, the brokerage, right? There's no agents, there's no brokerage, right? You have to have good people doing good work. And when you look at that, how do you figure out what the agent's business is worth? Well, it's based on production and the number of clients. And I would argue that if you really want to get to what I call the durable value of a real estate agent's business, it's how many repeat and referral clients you have. Now, it doesn't have to be 100%. Don't think you need to be 100% repeat and referral. I remember bragging about how I was 85% repeat and referral, and one of my mentors said, well, you should probably spend more money on marketing then. And here I was very proud of myself that I had this big referral business. And it's good. I was doing a good work, taking care of people, getting referrals. But part of that is marketing. But what shows up a month after you're not marketing is your referral clients. The people call you a year later that ask for a referral when the roof leaks or the plumbing needs work or they want to remodel, they call you. Those are the referral clients and they stick with you. That's like a sales force out there working with you and for you. So I mentioned earlier, 300 clients. So how long does it take to grow by 300 clients? Well, if someone worked 10 years to get 300 clients or 20 years or 5 years, it took them their whole career. So the power of when you adopt a client list from someone who's getting out of the business because they're retiring or because they're moving to a new market or because they want to phase out and slow down, is you're leapfrogging ahead in your career, that whole career. So when I started doing this, it was 2010. We were in the middle of a very bad real estate recession. How many people here were licensed in 2010? About half the room. So you guys know what it's like when the market doesn't just go up, right? It was very challenging. And so what happened is I started to get opportunities to work with really good agents who were getting out of the business because things were just really tough. And the truth was you could have a really good business, you could grow, but it took about 2 or 3 times the work it did in 2006 when I started. So I was brand new, I just kind of dug in and did it. But there was a lot of really good people around me that started getting out of the business. And in the book, The Golden Handoff, I tell the stories of 3 of those people. They're all real people that I worked with, and they got out of the business for different reasons. So the very first person I helped was Renee. Renee had the office right next to me. She listened to me on the phone all day, every day, talking. She said it drove her crazy because I would call people all day long. She got out of the business because she started a family. She had her first kid. Weeks later, she's back showing houses. So she has her second child. And she says, I don't want to have to go right back to work. I want to be able to take time. So she got a job where she had her nights and weekends back. And I said to her, I would love to help your clients. That was it. That was my whole pitch. I didn't have a plan. No one knew how to do this. And there was another guy in the office who was struggling. And she said, well, I want to have this person help because I know he's struggling and he'll probably have more time to work on this. You're already really busy. And I said, okay. And I hired her assistant because I was growing. So I hired her assistant to help my team. I was me, one assistant, and a buyer's agent. It was not a big deal, but we were growing and needed the help. So 6 months later, Renee comes back and she says, it's not working. He's not calling people. He gets an appointment. I have to go to the appointment. He does a CMA. The client calls me and says, what do you think of the CMA? Is this good or not? And so she's frustrated because now she's working 2 jobs. And she said, do you think it will work? And I said, well, good news. It's been 6 months. Most people move about every 10 years. And in a recession, it's even less. People kind of hunker down. We have a lot of people hunkering down right now, don't we? Different reasons, but same idea. So we put together what becomes the Golden Handoff. So I write a letter that's going to introduce me to all of her clients. We work on a script of what am I going to say? Because the person she hired didn't call anyone. So what am I going to say? How are we going to explain this so that I honor her work and make sure I tell people what her boundaries are? You know, don't call her 24/7, call me. So we work through this process, and what I'm going to share with you today is a lot of what we used originally. And so I call through her database of about 300 clients. That's why I used that number on this. He had been in the business 6 or 7 years, had built a really good business. As I'm calling through, we find out that there are about $4 million worth of clients that are listed or working with other agents already 6 months later. Not a big surprise, but what it shows me is a couple things. You have to stay in touch with your people. If you ignore your health, do you get healthier? If you ignore your marriage, does it get better? If you ignore your clients, do they love you more? No. You have to stay engaged. So much of what we do is just reminding people, hey, we're here if you need us, staying top of mind. So what I learned is that I think there's been this idea in real estate that when I retire or if I slow down, my top people will still call me, I'll refer them to a friend, I'll still get a couple referral fees, and that'll work. The truth is that does not work. If people think that you're getting out of the business, they already know 5 other realtors. Now, what the other truth is you can pick the person that retires, that replaces you. And you can make sure you find someone really good who's going to take great care of your clients. And trust me when I say this, when I started calling Renee's clients for the first time, I was a little nervous. We all get a little call anxiety. I said at the beginning, I'm going to ask you to call 3 people. I guarantee you some people here got a little sweaty when I said you had to call 3 people. I was a little nervous that they were going to feel like they had been sold. And so we worked really hard on how to explain this, and I'll share the script I use that makes people feel really good. I was so happy when I started calling people that the clients felt really good about this. Because what if you're the last person that buys a house with that agent, and 3 months later the roof leaks, and you call them and the phone's disconnected? That's not a good feeling. And the truth is, if you're a good agent, it's like having a great dentist or a good attorney or a good lender. You don't want to go interview 5 more people. Right? You want to go back to the person you know and trust that you know how to work with. That's why people come back to us. That's why they refer us. So the thing is, we are all replaceable, but you can pick the person that replaces you. And what I'm going to talk about in the new book and what I'm going to share with you today is what I'm calling a partial handoff. And that's what happens when I'd like to retire, but I'm not quite ready yet. Maybe you want to snowboard in Orlando, but you don't want to move there full time. So I want to be able to come back and still talk to people and still work in the summertime when it's busy, and then when it's wintertime, I'll watch the Chiefs on TV, but I'm not going to sit in the stands anymore. So I'm going to talk a little about this. So let's talk about real numbers. So I've updated this. In 2010 in Portland, Oregon, the average home price was $200,000. I checked yesterday, it's $675,000. So it's gone up a little bit. So in today's numbers, we helped Renee's clients. We did an extra $7.5 million in sales for an extra $180,000 in gross commission income. That's not the total I did, that's what I did just from her client list. The next year we took over David's database. Now, I like to mention David because he wasn't the oldest guy in the office. He wasn't moving, he wasn't retiring. He was moving out of state for about a year or two to work on a movie project. It was his dream to work in Hollywood. He got an opportunity, but he knew there's no way he can help his clients in Portland if he's in LA working on a movie 20 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year. So we worked with his client list. I sent him, in 2010 numbers, $50,000 in referral fees in 1 year. Today that would be almost $200,000. That money he used when he came back to buy a house. I found out later that Renee told me that during the recession, because it wasn't just real estate, right? Everything was hurting at that time. Her husband had lost his job. They lived in a very nice neighborhood in a very nice house. It was not cheap. I was sending her, in 2010 numbers, about $3,000 a month in referral fees. Today that would be about 10. That's why they were able to stay in their house, keep their kids in that school district. And so to me, it was a part of my business, but for her, it was incredibly important for her family. And we got to work with wonderful clients, and it was a huge growth phase for my business and my team. It allowed me to hire more people, to grow, and eventually become one of the top realtors in the city. Now, I promised you could use your phone, so I hope you're taking notes. On goldenhandoff.com, there is a calculator I built that uses the model in the book to show you two things. It shows you the net profit to a retiring agent over a 3-year period, and it shows you the gross profit to an adopting agent. Now, I put these numbers in here. This is what I would call a good full-time professional business, someone doing 24 closings with repeat and referral clients per year, average commission of about $10,000. What's the average home price right now in Kansas City? 400? Okay. So 400, this is like probably pretty close, maybe a little low for your average commission. So this shows you that over 3 years, a net profit to a retiring agent of about 144. When you are talking to people who are getting out of the business, it is really, really critical that you help them understand the difference between net income and gross income. Let me ask you a question. When we talk about our sales, do we talk about our net? I remember I'll talk about my first month. One of my mentors, a guy named Morgan Davis, still a great realtor, one of the best referral agents in the country. He had a card that said multi-million-dollar producer. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, Morgan makes more than $1 million a year. That's amazing. It turns out, I found out that's how many dollar volume of homes he sold. So then you get your commission, right? Do you have to pay taxes here? So you have business expenses, do you have staff, do you have brokerages, desk fees, all those things. So the truth is, when you're running a business, right, there's a lot of expenses in running a business, whether you're in real estate or anything else. That's just part of how it works. When I talk to agents who are retiring and they're like, I don't know if I could live on that amount of money, sometimes they're already living on that amount of money. But what they're thinking about is, I made $400,000 this year. Well, at the beginning. But once you got the desk fees, the expenses, the staff, the taxes, now you don't have the 400, maybe you have 120. So now we look at those same exact numbers, but on the other side. This is gross profit, right? This is 80% goes to, on overtime, goes to the adopting agent, the referral fee, 25%. Now what happens if you get a listing? Hopefully you get a sign in the yard, you do all the stuff you do to get to market a listing, right? Social media, open houses, just listed sold cards, just closed sold cards. all the things you get to do to meet new people and grow your business. Same with the buyer. If you've got a good buyer you're working with, do you think they're talking about anything other than the fact that they're buying a house with everyone they know? If you're doing a good job with a buyer, they're going to refer you people as well. So just from 24 deals a year, 10,000 average commission, it's almost $600,000 of additional income to the business. Now, if you get one new closing from every 2 deals that you close from that adopted database, you're going to get an additional 360. It's almost $1 million of income over 3 years when you look at from the database and from all the additional opportunities you're going to get when you work with that database. So here's how it works. The reason the golden handoff works so well in real estate is for a couple reasons. It works on a referral agreement. We all know what a referral agreement is. The second thing is it's almost impossible to predict what the value of a retiring agent's business is, and I'm going to talk to you about why. At the beginning of the deal, it's a higher referral fee. So in this model, it's 30% the first year, then 20, then 10, and then after that, the adopting agent owns the business. If that retiring agent is sending new people, it's a new referral fee. The difference between those two is in the referral agreement for the database, it's based on when the client closes a deal. So if one person in that database buys a house in year 1, buys an investment property in year 2, and then decides they don't like their first house and they're going to sell that and buy a different one, those 4 deals all pay a referral fee. In a traditional one-off referral, you get paid on the first deal. So that's one of the big key differences on this. So the new referrals is just for the first transaction. For the database, it's all the transactions those people do. When I worked with David's database, even back in 2011 or 12 when we worked with him, one client sold 2 penthouse condos in Portland and then bought a house in a historic district. It was $3 million in sales between those 3 transactions. So we paid a referral on each one of those. So now you're thinking, well, Nick said it's impossible to figure out the value of the business, so how does this work? Well, it works based on what you're able to actually do, and there's some factors in that. Relationship strength. Trust me when I say this, as someone who's adopted multiple businesses, you don't really know how much those clients love that agent until you start talking to them. Because every agent you talk to is going to say that they have a great relationship with their clients. The one way you can kind of suss that out is what percentage of repeat and referral business do they have? Now, I am not bad-mouthing agents that work a prospecting marketing style business. There is nothing wrong with that. There was another guy named Nick at my office, and we were usually number 1, 2, or 3, and so we would get calls for each other, and he was just on radio, billboards, bus stops, all that stuff. He had about a 5% repeat and referral rate, and we had about an 80% of our business came repeat and referral. A lot of years he sold a lot more than me, but our businesses were very different. If he sold his business and you stop the marketing, guess what? The business stops. But if you have someone talking to people and you have a referral business, it keeps going. So you have the relationship strength. The adopting agent has to actually do the work. Remember, Renee hired someone 6 months later. He's not calling people, he's not setting appointments, not sure how to do a CMA confidently, not sure how to help buyers confidently. So you have to have someone that knows how to sell and work with clients for this to work. The other thing is market variability. So this book came out in 2015. I've been presenting this almost 10 years now. The market has pretty much gone up that whole time, which was not my experience because I started in 2006. So we started just on the tail end of a market that was going just rocket ship high for totally different reasons than our market is now. But I worked with buyers, finally learned how to get listings, and then the market just goes whoo and drops. And it drops for about 5 years straight. Now there's still a lot of people moving. We got bank-owned short sales, a lot of things happening, but market variability played a huge role. A lot of Renee's clients, I would meet with them, I would do a CMA. They said, gosh, we're so glad we met you. We absolutely want to hire you, but we can't sell our house. Why not? They're underwater. The house is worth $250. They love my CMA. 100% believe it. This is great work. We owe $300. So I had lists of people in my database. When the market's up 10%, call these people. When the market's up 20%, call these people. When it's up 30%, call these folks. Got a lot of what people call reluctant landlords that had to keep their houses, rent them out, and kind of just ride out the storm. I bought 2 houses during that time. They doubled in value in a couple years and then dropped 50%, and I waited and they went back up again. So again, real estate's great if you can wait till the right time to sell. Now, let's take a minute. I want you to write down, a second here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the money first, and then I'm gonna have you write down some names. So, when you do this, it's a lot more powerful than just, I get a list of people, hopefully they buy or sell a house and I can work with them. That's a big piece of it. That's the direct income. So that's the money you get from clients in the retirement agent's database. But when you get that, you get other opportunities. So indirect income. So sign calls, postcards, social media, all the things you do to market your business to new people. When you do that, those clients are 100% yours to keep. So you don't owe a referral fee on open house people. You don't owe a referral fee on sign calls. That's all based on the work you're doing. The retirement agent is the representation of all the work the retirement agent did. Now, if you do a good job, that retirement agent's still in the community. They're still getting calls. They're still getting emails. They're going to get new people they can refer you. And if you're doing a really good job, that adopted client list, they're going to refer you new people that the retirement agent didn't know. They're going to refer you friends at work or the neighbor that never met that agent. That's all based on the work you're doing, so all of that money goes to you as well. So I showed you the calculator that gives you a financial kind of model to predict. This is a way to look at a unit count prediction. So if you have 300 clients and your business is, the retirement agent's 75% repeat and referral, that's about 225 deals. Average time between people moving is about 10 years, so it's about 22 deals a year. Now, it might be more, it might be less. Right now in Portland, it's less. I'm not sure about here. We have a lot of people that the kids are in high school. They've got a 3% mortgage. Job's fine. They like where they live. They're not moving. Now, when the kids are out of the house, are they going to move? Probably. But it's going to be a little bit longer. So right now, we're going through a phase where probably that time frame's getting stretched out between moves, might be a few less deals. But man, during COVID, did everyone decide they needed to move to the country? Yeah. All right, finding retirement agents. This is the part where you have to do something. I want you to write down the names of 3 agents whose businesses you admire and whose client lists or market dominance or neighborhood dominance you would love to have. So take a minute here. I see some people are pointing at one person back there. So we've got a top producer in the room. So take a minute, write down 3 names of agents whose businesses you admire, people whose businesses you would love to take over. You guys got 3 names? 1 name? All right. So now you've got a huge head start. My goal today is not just to teach you how to do this. I really want to help everyone get started. I want you to think of the people whose businesses you admire, people that you'd want to work with, mentors who maybe are slowing down that you want to reach out to and have a conversation about what their plans are. I'm going to give you a script later on exactly how to have that conversation. A lot of people have anxiety about it. I'm going to give you a way that's very respectful, that people are very open to having that discussion. So if you are looking to grow your business by adopting agents who are retiring, number 1 way to do it is networking. So through your brokerage, through events like this where you're part of a big community of the state association, through what I call the realtor community, so the people that you co-op deals with, people that are mentors or you're mentoring, these are all ways to to find new people to have this conversation with. If you want to really expand on it, you can use marketing and production analysis. And what I mean by that is, what most people do in real estate is they phase out, right? They kind of slow down. So if they're doing 50 million in sales a year and now they're doing 20, did that 30 million just go away? No. No, what's happening is that 30 million in sales is now being done by other agents, right? And that retiring agent is not getting anything for it. And the clients may be working with good agents. They might be working with agents who aren't that great. We're not all the same. Would you agree? So production analysis and marketing. The easiest way I can explain this is that realtors who are thinking of selling their business or who are open to this conversation are just like home sellers. Sometimes you call them and they say, oh my God, yours must have been burning. I was just thinking about this. I've been looking for a way to get out of this. I've had it. I'm burned out. I already have another house. I just don't know what to do. I'd love to meet with you. That happened when I talked to David. I was at an inspection. The inspector said, there's only a couple people that started in 06 that are still in the business today in 2011, 2012. You're one of them. This other person is now moving to LA because he's working on this movie. So you're going to be the only one I know that's still in the business. And I said, oh, I know David. I haven't talked to him in ages. He's leaving? And he said, yeah. So I called him up and said, David, I'm helping people that by managing their client lists, and I'd love to talk to you. And he said, that's great. I've been telling my broker for a year that I'm leaving, and I need some help. And their answer is just refer business to other people at the brokerage. But I want someone to actually work my client list. I don't want to have to do it. I don't have the time. So I met with him that week. Him and his wife came to my office. We talked about it. I said, here's how it works. And they said, great, let's do it. It was that fast. It was within a week. We were working on it. The announcement went out the next week. It was incredibly fast. All right. So this is the secret stuff that no one else knows that I'm sharing with you for the first time. In the second edition of the Golden Handoff, which is coming out in a couple months, I talk about partial handoffs. I think that this is the most powerful thing that I've discovered in this since I've started teaching it. And I learned about this because I was teaching it. Because I would go to different places and meet people who would go, well, you know, there was someone at my office who snowbirds. They go down to Mexico, they go down to Palm Springs, they go down to Florida every winter. So they're not really retired. We put them on my team, and when they're gone, we handle the business, and when they're back, they do the business. So there's all these different ways that people are finding to work together before they completely get out of the business. And do we all know people that are never going to retire from real estate? A couple of my mentors still work way more than me. And one of them, I was trying to buy his business 10 years ago. He still sells as much real estate as I do. And he's close to 80, but he loves doing it. His partner wants him to quit, but it's like what he does. It's who he is. So he's never going to quit. He just built a big team, pays them really well. They take care of everything. He's happy as a clam, getting to go look through historic homes and historic districts and list property. So it's what he does. So there's a couple ways that I've seen that people are doing this. And there's a whole chapter of people I interviewed, and I share their stories of what they've learned and kind of their cautionary tales and what their advice is. So a phase out is where someone goes, I want to retire, but not right now, or not completely. Maybe they don't want to run a team, they don't want to be a top producer, but they want to stay in the game somehow, whether that's working part-time or they want to work on certain things. What most people want to do is, I want to work on higher-end listings in neighborhoods I love with clients I love, right? But I get all these sign calls. But my friends keep referring me first-time home buyers that can only look at property on Saturday and Sunday morning. So maybe that's what the team handles, or that's what the adopting agent handles. So the way I talk to someone in that position is, you've had an amazing career, you've built this wonderful business, you deserve to work on the stuff you love. But don't let go of all the stuff that you don't love. Let someone else handle that that's excited about that. Let someone who's new and growing their business, who wants to take on 20-hour days and the 9 p.m. Repair negotiations on a Saturday, let them handle that because they're excited about it. So the honorary team member is someone that likes to talk to people about real estate but doesn't want to handle the nitty-gritty, right? They don't want to do the showings, do the paperwork, do the negotiations. So I call that an honorary team member. So maybe they take some phone calls, maybe they come to some events. For my residential business, this is basically what I am. So 2 years ago, I sold my residential business, 700 clients, to a team. They had to break it up across 4 agents to do calls, because to call all those people every year is a lot. So the lead agent calls kind of our A-plus people, and the rest of the team stays in touch with the rest of the client list. I still do videos with Darby, who's kind of my lead agent on that, and do other things to support that. I still actively refer business to her when I talk to clients about their needs. And I still keep doing the commercial. So what I love is the really complicated commercial real estate and development. The residential is now being handled by another team. Now, TrainOut, I mentioned a broker who I really love, who he'll never retire. I tried, it was impossible. He loves what he does. He does historic homes in Northwest Portland and Northeast Portland. I went through some neighborhoods here in Kansas City that look very similar to some of those neighborhoods. 1890 to 1920, big craftsmen's, cast stone, beautiful homes. And so his concern in letting go was he knows who the architect was, when the house was built, who lived in it, and kind of the pedigree of all these amazing old homes with all these great stories, right? And he loves the story of the home, the 120 years of stories. And so for him, he's kind of now training someone. So he brought someone onto his team, and he's teaching them the history of our city and the history of each of these homes. Because to him, that's really what makes what he does special to his clients and to the community he serves. So that's what I call a train out. Now, maybe you work only in condos. Maybe you work new construction. Maybe you do townhome developments. Maybe you do luxury. All of those things have little nuances that are different. And to bring someone onto your business and train them of those nuances so they can serve your clients at a high level. Believe me, I work with a lot of developers. That is not an easy thing to learn. To look at a zoning code a lot, look at utility maps and go, does this make sense or not? And those developers expect you to kind of pre-flight it. They want to know that you've looked at it and put a little brain power in before you bug them at 5 a.m. when they're on their way to a job site to say, hey, I found this great parcel you should buy. Because they're going to have this list of questions. If you haven't answered them, you're not going to look real good. So that's where a train out could be a really good fit, where you bring someone and you teach them kind of the tricks of your trade or the secrets of your niche that you work in. Now, if you're in that position and you're thinking, I want to find someone who's an adopting agent, part 2, this is the other 3 names you get to write down. Write down the names of 3 agents who you think would be able to take over your business and do a good job with your clients. Even if you're not ready yet, it's a good exercise. If you're thinking about it, write it down. We're going to talk about kind of what makes someone a really good candidate for this and what might make them not a good candidate for this. So take a minute, write down 3 names, people you think that would be a great fit for taking over your business and helping your clients. Well, this one wasn't as funny as the last one. Normally, when I mention retired agents, I warn people, don't just pick the oldest person who's done this the longest and tackle them. Leave them alone. It was very eye-opening for me in this process where I made my list. So I made a list of people I knew. It was more than 3 people. I wrote down about 6 or 7 people I knew that I thought could do a really good job. I reached out to some lenders and title people I knew. I said, who do I not know that's up and coming that I haven't met with yet? I've been doing this a long time. So who's shown up in the last 10 years that maybe isn't on my radar that I should talk to? Because I didn't want to assume I knew everyone. I think there's about 8,000 realtors in Portland, Oregon. So I can't know all of them. I was surprised when I did that number 2 was a big problem for a lot of them. A lot of them did not have the resources or the bandwidth or the time to take on 700 new clients. Great business decision, could be very profitable, but hey, with where my team's at, with what we're doing, we're kind of at full capacity. We don't necessarily want to double the business or triple the business. We want to keep kind of doing our own thing. I also talked to a lot of people that confided to me that they were actually thinking of getting out of the business. So the last thing in the world they wanted to do was double their business because they're looking for the exit door too. So then our conversation changed a little bit. But number one, they have to have experience, right? They need to know how to sell real estate. You don't want people to learn with your clients, right? You want to know how to help a buyer take a listing and help someone through the process. They have to have the resources. They have the time, money. That might be team, but this takes some work, right? You have to engage with people. Referrals don't come for free. You have to invest in people, get to know them. So you have to talk to them, market to them, invite them to events. Whatever it is you do to stay connected with your people, you have to do it with more people. That takes time. Ethics, you want to know that they're going to give fair and honest dealings to you and your clients. That's important. And energy, this is kind of the X factor. Do you like this person? Now, I actually think this is why a lot of people don't pick someone to take over their business, because they think that they have this deep love, soulmate connection with their clients that no one could ever possibly replace. And I'm here to tell you, to humble you, that unfortunately, if you disappeared from the face of the earth, do you think your clients would never move again? No. They would find a way. And unfortunately for you, they probably already know 5 other realtors, and they would feel very bad for you, but they would figure it out pretty quickly. So what I mean by this is, what makes us good as realtors is not that we all are one type of person, that we have one personality profile. That's not true at all. What makes us really good is that we adapt to our clients. So whether you're talking to an engineer or the CEO of a company or someone who's in sales, your conversations are going to be very different. But what makes us good is not that we are all the same. It makes us good is that we're able to adapt to our clients' needs and hear them and communicate with them in a way that works for them. So don't look for a copy of yourself. Look for someone that can take what you've done and maybe do it even better. So here's how it works. The adopting agent, you connect with them. You kind of make sure you want to work on this project, and you sign a contract. I'm going to share that contract with you. If you guys are interested, I will give you copies of the contract, scripts, marketing pieces, the letter I use, all of it. If you go to goldenhandoff.com, there's a little sign up there. If you scroll down a little bit, you put your name and email, it'll send you a link to download all of this in Word or Publisher, so you can edit it, put your face on it, put your info on it, and change it up. I always recommend the contract is a sample. Please have your local attorney look at it, because state laws are all different. But I actually use that exact contract all the time. There's an announcement letter that goes out. It goes out in the postal service, and it goes out in email. Now with social media, obviously, do a video together. Share it on your social and their social. There's a lot more ways that we engage with people than just phone calls, postcards, and events. So utilize all the ways that you're both connecting with people. When you send the letter, just as something to keep in mind, it comes from the retiring agent. So if I'm the adopting agent, I still pay for it, I do it, but it comes on their letterhead with their return address so that the clients know it's from their realtor, that it's not a marketing piece, it's a communication. Once all that's gone out, you're going to call and introduce yourself to those new clients, and I'm going to give you the script to use for that. And then you collect referral fees. Now, in the partial handoff, the traditional golden handoff is a 3-year deal because most people don't want to renew their license more than a couple times. Over time, the value in that is coming from the adopting agent doing the work. The retiring agent, the value is right at the beginning when you start. With partial handoffs, what I advocate for is that as long as you're working together, that those referral fees are going, and you have to kind of build a model that works for your partnership or your team based on what they're going to do. So if someone's really, really involved and they're on your team and they're selling and you're handling a portion of the business, the part they do is probably your team or partnership model, and then all of the clients, the team or the other person's closing is the referral model. And then you switch to kind of the traditional model when they're finally want to be 100% hands-off. So we're going to talk about the database. I'm going to give you, I have a couple notes up here because I want to give you some scripts to use to connect with your database as well. So I'm going to go over this next part a little quickly because I want to spend more time on the scripts. But your database has to have names, phone numbers, emails, and addresses for all the people in the household you're working with. So if you're thinking about what to do to get your business ready, make sure your database is complete. Make sure it's updated. There's nothing more demoralizing than an adopting agent calling people and getting wrong numbers. So as good of a job as you can do keeping this updated, the more value it's going to have for you and for the retiring agent. Ideally, you have categories. So A, B, C is how much they know you and love you. A client, B client, C client. I like to also use tags to say who someone is. Our database is really messy. We've got developers, builders, investors, first-time home buyers, all of it. I see some people nodding. So if you're doing that, you want to have conversations with first-time home buyers about things that are relevant to them, and to developers that are things that are going to be relevant to them. Not the same conversation, not the same class, not the same follow-up. So I'm going to give you two things that I would love for you all to do. I promise if you do this, it'll increase your revenue this year by a lot. I call the first one the New Year script. So this is something I do in January when business is slow to re-engage with people. I call all my clients and I say, what's the number one thing I can do to help you or your business this year? And then the hard part, you have to shut up and listen. So what's the number one thing I can do to help you or your business this year? If you call your clients and you ask that one question every year, I guarantee you will get a ton more business. I've helped people get jobs, I've helped people move, I've helped people do all kinds of stuff that had nothing to do with real estate because I just happen to know a lot of people in our community. Big part of what you want to be the hub on people's social and business lives if you can. You want to be the one that they think of, if I need something or someone needs something, I know that Nick's going to have it. The other thing I would ask you to do too, if you want to really deepen your relationships with your clients, take your top 10 or 20 clients and ask them, what do you want to make sure I keep doing that you find value in? What's something I'm not currently doing that I could add that would add value to our relationship? And what's something I do that you don't find value in that you would be fine if I stopped doing? The number one thing my clients wanted is they wanted annual updates on the value of their real estate. Because I work with a lot of investors and developers. Do you want them going to Zillow or do you want them to call you? I say that and people go, I don't want to do a bunch of CMAs every year. Well, if you're not doing it, they're doing it somewhere else and they're selling that information to other people. So it's a really great way to reconnect with people and make sure that what you're doing matters to your clients. The contract, the letter, the script, again, if you go to Golden Handoff, put your information, I'll send you all of this. If you don't see it, it's in your spam. If you still don't see it, email me. I'll send it to you, the link directly, I promise. The number one thing about the contract I want to point out is don't say year one or year two. There's a start date and an end date. Do our deals get delayed sometimes? You could very easily start a deal in year one that doesn't close until year two, based on when that is. The referral fee is different. So just make sure you have the start date and the end date so that it's clear to everyone. The other thing that's really important when you do this contract is that you have a marketing plan. Here's what I do to run my business, and here's what the adopting agent does to run their business, and make sure you agree on it. I think that should be part of your contract of who are they calling, how often, how many newsletters are they sending, how many events are they doing. Those are all really critical things. The announcement letter is an endorsement letter. It basically says, I'm retiring or getting out of the business at this level or for these reasons, and this adopting agent is going to take over. Here's who they are. Here's why I hired them to do this, and here's why I think you're going to have a great relationship. And the next part is that they're going to call and introduce themselves. So here's the script. It's one sentence. It's very easy. I promise I would tell you this. Hi, this is Nick Crowder with ABC Real Estate, and I promised your realtor John I'd call and check in and see if you had any real estate questions or needs I can help with. That's it. They've already seen the social media, they've gotten the letter, they've gotten the email that this is happening. All you're doing is checking in. If they have a need, it's easy. You put your realtor hat on, you go do your realtor thing, right? You do the listing, you do a buyer consult. If they want to list, you do a CMA, go see the house. Most people don't have an immediate need. It's important that you share your competence and your character as quickly as you can. By calling and keeping this promise, you are establishing your character. Very quickly, very easily, very subtly. The way you establish your competence is by having a couple stats on the market. Now, don't vomit the whole MLS stat sheet on them. Don't talk about inventory. What most people want to know is, what's the average price of a home and how long does it take to sell? That's what most people want to know. What's my house worth and how long will it take to sell? So if you know those two things and you know them that are current, you're going to be able to really establish your competence. Now, I like to end with something that's a little funny but a little serious. So who not to hire? So a lot of times people hire their friend down the hall, but like I said, Renee tried to do that. It didn't work out really well. Some people think hiring their assistant is going to be the best path to success because the assistant already knows the business, they know your clients. But most people become assistants because they want a paycheck. They don't want to live on commission. Now, there are people that get into the role as an assistant to learn the business, get a paycheck, and then once they're comfortable and familiar and they get their license, then step out and be a salesperson. So if you think that that's the kind of assistant you have and they can do this, make sure that they're already in that sales role before you hand them a business to run. The charismatic new agent, there's always a rookie of the year every year in every office. Doesn't mean they're going to be around 3 years from now and sticking with it and calling your client. So make sure that they're ready to run a business and establish a long-term plan. The agent that needs more business, I like to joke that if someone's bad at business and you give them more clients, do they magically get good at it? No, they just do bad business with more people. So don't hire that person. But what most people do is they hire no one. 99% of realtors, they phase out, they don't hire anyone, their client list just kind of evaporates and gets taken care of by other people. But that's not you guys, because you're here learning about this. You've written down the 3 people. In the next week, I want you to call, whether you're thinking of retiring or adopting, I want you to call those folks and introduce yourself, set a time to get coffee or happy hour, or go for a walk, talk about what that person's plan is when they're done selling, or see if this person would be interested in taking over your business and taking care of your clients. So I thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you, Nick. Can we give him another round of applause? Before we conclude this opening session, I'd like to thank you for taking your time to be here again and encourage you to make the most of the opportunities to connect, learn, engage, and unite with your fellow realtors, especially with our valued event sponsors and exhibitors who we'd like to recognize now. Will the following sponsors please stand and remain standing as I call your name? Tech Helpline, Maris, Supra, USA Mortgage, Lake of the Ozarks Board of Realtors, FCS Financial, Home Warranty, and the CE Shop. If you would please stand and give a round of applause. Without them, this conference would not be possible, and thank you for the support you provide to our realtors around the state. Next, please stand if you are an exhibitor for our conference, all of whom are listed on the screen. Thank you for being with us this week, and we look forward to mingling with you at the welcome reception. Round of applause, please. As you exit, you will receive a drink ticket. I encourage you to hang around for our welcome reception in the Count Basie foyer. This is an excellent networking opportunity to have those conversations with your peers from around the state and similar markets and different markets. Look forward to chatting with you all and have a great evening. Thank you.